aren't the coffee breaks the best? I've been talking with others how good it is to have at least 30 minutes to rest in between. Very refreshing. Good conference also from that point of view. But now we're welcoming you back. As you have seen, researchers do have a lot to say, and there are very interesting presentations that await. And just to correct if there were any misunderstanding before, this is really for you all in this hall, the whole session till the end of the day. So the workshops will be made by us together, but the catalysts, so to say, are soon to be presented. My name is Minna. My other leg is on the ground of a Strategic Research Council funded project Just Aid to Transit. And on the other leg, I have the responsibility of representing Accordi, which is a small enterprise specialized in taking into practice what these theories that we have heard here today as well mean in the local communities. And I once heard that there's nothing more practical than a good theory, and therefore I thought I would take again the ladder that Antti just presented and saved me a lot of time explaining the theory behind. But the modification that you see here is a result of the practical work that Accordi has been doing in different municipalities. And it says that there are many kinds of participation, and also, as Antti said, no form of participation is better than the other, rather all of them are needed. And the ladder just helps us in navigation. But the methods needed to create jointly drafted decisions require more skills and resources like time. That is to be noted. And consent-based project development seeks to empower local actors both in decision-making and implementation. So it really goes to the end and operational phase of the project and beyond, so to say. It is an engagement with the local communities that is to last. And now our common problem today is that as long as we are researchers, we are making interventions that are more or less pop-up and ad hoc. They are like interviews, surveys, other kind of engagement methods. But do they build a continuum that would make it possible for the community to go deeper to the collaboration? Where does research stay on this ladder? And for this question, we have a workshop today. Our co-presenters come from two projects, Speed Local. Welcome, Alexander, already to the stage. And your companion, Madeleine, as well. It's your turn to tell what Speed Local is about.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, this was me 6 years ago. So if you didn't recognize me from the program, that is why. This is me. And I need these now as well. Okay.
Welcome to the club.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Speed Local, project funded by Nordic Energy Research. It's the long title is Speeding Up Nordic Green Transition, Navigating National Planning, Local Implementation and Social Acceptability. So maybe we're more navigating towards national targets and goals and how that gets into local planning and local realities. We are 9 partners in total, so we have a quite broad spectrum of different types of perspectives in this project. And we're going to try and carry the hats of other experts. So we're going to keep it quite simple and then allow for more questions later. If we can't answer it, we will point you in the direction to some of our colleagues here. Yes, so main entry point here is to approach something we call integrated energy planning. And we work with local stakeholders that are planners, and they are public officials that have previously had more of an unofficial role in facilitating this, but they are getting more and more official roles in this. But there's no real way of doing this. There's no real framework, no real support. So this is where we want to try and make an intervention. And it's in 15 minutes, so we're going to try and give you some highlights, I guess.
Yes, and the entry point of our project are the national climate and energy targets in the Nordic countries and the process of local implementation. And talking about the Nordic countries, we talk about places where people live, work, and where they relate to their lived environments and the local surrounding landscapes. And as outlined in the vision of the Nordic Council of Ministers, the Vision 2030, nature and landscapes play a central role, and they are at the same time becoming vital places for the energy transition. And recognizing the cultural importance of landscapes, Speed Local is integrating landscape values into planning processes and also fostering a deeper understanding on how development impacts the region.
Yes. So at the core here of our project, as I said, we have our case partners. We have 3 case studies in Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. They are public officials. They are working with planning, and now they have to take into consideration long-term energy system developments, also in the short-term energy developments, into their traditional planning processes of, in Sweden we call it samhällsplanering or samhällsutveckling. So all these other things that they work with to make a long-term sustainable, happy society in their municipalities where people want to live and want to thrive and want to enjoy their lives, they also kind of need to take into consideration what does the energy system do to support these other things and what is our role in facilitating some form of development here. So we are trying to provide them with tools to understand what space for action they have when it comes to the energy transition, what their role in that is, what time frames they have to work with, what decisions do we need to take now to facilitate things long term. If our community here says no to option A now, what are we saying no to also further down the line? So trying to help them understand these choices and how they impact, or they are not maybe the ones making the choices all the time. We've talked about this already. My mind is also going a million different places in terms of all the things that we talked about that come into play here, but we have 15 minutes, so I'm trying to not go down that path. But we're just trying to help them understand what happens in their local community, how that is impacted by these national targets and a lot of national decisions that are just filtered down and they have to deal with, and what their decisions locally also impact them when it goes up. To going into this, we have a lot of energy system modelers with us. We have a team for each country, so we have a good toolbox already. We know what the options are when it comes to energy system development. We just need to figure out ways how to translate it to local lived realities where we have these other perspectives that also come into play and decide which way this direction can go. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the research process, and we're just going to make some mentions of the empirical extraction methods we employ. And
this other perspective referring to landscapes and the social...
Yes, exactly. So Alexander is Daniel's colleague. So when I say these other perspectives, just think about everything Daniel has already told
said,
you.
Yeah, so let's sit down, Madeleine. Exactly. And here are mainly the core components of the research approach in the project, and we will be focusing mainly on the yellow circle in the diagram up there, and the engagement process with the local partners, case partners, and the local communities. And we have a twofold goal, and the first one is to gather within this data and deepen our understanding of how the energy system development and landscape impacts and also the social accessibility interact, and using both quantitative and qualitative analysis. And secondly, it will provide practical insights also for local and regional stakeholders, helping them to navigate in the energy transition from a planning perspective. In short, the project is, I mean, you already said that, is trying to bridge applied decision making with the practical and local implementation. This is me still. Landscapes, and so this is somehow trying to show or talk about the methods that we are using, or which we used where we're trying to engage the stakeholders in the project. And we have been doing field trips, befaringar. We use the Norwegian word for that. So trips through the landscape, interacting with with locals and also with the local landscapes, and making explicit observations on project tasks in the 3 localities that Madeleine presented. And for verifying the results, we basically for verifying the results from the desk study we've been doing before, and that as a part of our analysis. And then, but we also have the workshop and co-creation processes for discussing and navigating through short and long-term goals, and the vision in the region and local levels. And then, as a next step, is we carried out interviews, and also that to complement and to complement the collaborative group settings, or
deep dive
into the workshops. And so through the energy system modeling and the social modeling, we are linking the key now the English word is gone. Sorry, I spoke Swedish. I think German. Sometimes I have
variables, maybe.
Variables, yes. Suomeksi kyllä. Kolkin. And yes, so thinking on how to engage or how engagement develops with local stakeholders through the co-creation processes, but also creating timelines. You can see that in the image from one of our workshops down there, and scenarios which will help the modelers, then the energy modelers, to understand what type of the development are deemed as possible and possible or preposterous or plausible. To basically to strengthen the methods, or do you want to add up something on that image, Madeleine? Or?
No, but it kind of helps us a little bit also understand the planning realities when we do these things. So the modelers work with long timelines, and since we are having also a methodological discussion here, the difficulty of doing this in these settings, because you get stuck in the now. And that's something we've discussed also. How can we facilitate this process so we can better talk about the future? And that's something we've grappled with and maybe not quite figured out a perfect way of doing, but just something maybe to talk about later in the group work. Planners talk about the here and now, and political frameworks are 4 years that they're dealing with. So this is a bit of an issue when merging these perspectives. Okay. Last 2 slides here. So what we're trying to do now, we've have these different types of perspectives. We have the landscape, we have the energy system scenarios with us. We have experts that come in with social acceptance type of field work that they've done before, coupled with the things we've done in the project now. And we want to filter this into something we call a digital participation platform, which is just basically a digital platform for survey experiments. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So what we want to do is then we've gathered lessons and inputs from local stakeholders that are the municipal workers, the main energy providers, the main emitters, or the main demand users. So those are sakägare in the energy development there. So we have an idea of what they think about the future, what is possible here, what is not, what is desirable, what is expected. They also have some opinions on how they think the public thinks or what the public might accept. And we looked at the maps. We're thinking, okay, here is no-go because this is existing here, so it won't happen. So we have these ideas that we then need to kind of translate into testable questions to see how pervasive these ideas are with the general publics in these local communities. So that's what we're setting up this platform to do. And the output from that will go into the social modeling to be able to test what type of factors of trust, fairness, location, space attachments or impacts social acceptance or ideas around that. And the energy system modeling or scenario tweaking of assumptions, what is possible, not possible, will also get input from this in terms of what is, okay, in this area they say no to all of this. What would that mean from an energy system perspective? Do they need X amount more of that? Or is this just not a possibility? They will not be able to participate because they're saying no to too many things. And the key kind of parameter that we are trying to link here methodologically is the geotagged information. So physical space for infrastructure, both real physical space and also then perceived available space in terms of value, culture, social, which is as real as something else. And then also to the social modeling, if space or attachments to space, how that affects social acceptance. How are we doing on time? One more slide.
1 more minute.
Mina? 6 minutes.
6?
Okay.
1 I noted.
Okay, yeah. So then I can say a little bit more then about this platform, which is going to be up for discussion in the workshop later. So since we're setting this up, all good ideas are welcome. So what we're gathering in the DPP, I'm going to call it that now because it's too long to say the entire thing, is socio-demographic profiles. So we will be able to also do segmenting into smaller subgroups to do specific testings of that. And we will also make a representative slice out of the general population in this community to do community assemblies for physical meetings and additional conversations to engage them more in when we progressed in these kind of visions and potential plans that the municipality might see or the politicians might see, how they feel about that, what the inputs they will have to that. We have the geotagged responses, as I said, spatial distributions, if that impacts support or resistance. And then this preference data, if we're going to test then these different opportunities or different potentials for developments in this region, how they react to that. And we also want to, through this, test the kind of the communication psychology around it a little bit, maybe do some A/B testing to see if one narrative affects the outcomes more than another, amount of information provided versus less information, illustrations versus not. We're still formulating how far we want to take this. This is not the most important part of it, but we want to include it. But that's some feedback we want to have, because at the end of this project, what we want to provide is a kind of a strategy kit that can help other planners in similar situations to think about these things. And then we also want to then include the best ways of communicating in this platform. So we kind of want to test these approaches here in the DPP. Let's see, I can say something about the sample size. We are going to try, or we're going to invite, in Norway and Sweden, we have quite small municipalities, so everyone will be invited in those municipalities, of course, over a certain age. And children won't be invited to a certain degree.
From 16 years.
Yes. To that, on Bornholm, which is a Danish case, we're going to invite one from each household to participate. Experience that we've had from pilots of similar is that around 2,500 join of these sizes, similar sizes, and about 800 follow to the end. So we're hoping to get a quite substantial amount of information from this. And yeah, do you want to add something about the DPP?
No, I think one of the key elements is really this linking the geo data to all the other insights and to see how we can map the outcomes at the end. I think that's really one of the. I mean, you understand that. I think also through Daniel's talk that this interest in how all this output is visualized geographically, I think is very helpful for us to broaden understanding. So that's something we try to achieve.
And I guess that's both relates to where the people are, so the geotagging the responses, but the information we get or the questions that they get will be also then geographical information or using maps in the responses. Yeah.
Just H2 transit.
Exactly. This is how we look now.
All right. Thanks a lot, Madeleine and Alexander.
Thank you.
And then I have the joy to present my colleagues from Just H2 Transit, Nina Westberg or Pasi Rikkonen. Please come up and present our project.
Okay, good afternoon. Pleased to be here in nice Sibelius house. I have never been here before. Seems to be a very nice building. But so, as you see, we are from Just H2 Transit. We have these uniforms to show you. So the project is Just H2 Transit. Stakeholder interaction within a sustainable energy transition research project. That is our topic today. And in this presentation, first we're going to introduce you shortly this project, Just H2 Transit. And then I will tell something about what is just in energy transitions and present you the scenarios we have been creating in this project. And then Pasi will continue with stakeholder interviews we've been doing in this project also. And then we're going to move on to the workshops. So first, this project. So here we are, researchers. We are a very multidisciplinary group doing this research, and we are funded by the Academy of Finland Strategic Research Council. And this is going to last 6 years, this whole project. Now we are some way almost in the half of our journey. So we have 50 energy technology experts here from various disciplines. And we're going to tackle the whole value chain of H2 economy, hydrogen economy. And touch also technical points of energy system things, but also these societal aspects, so values, justification and fairness, environment and sustainability, political demands and incentives. And we look more this hydrogen value chain from this societal point of view. So we're not going to talk here about technology or energy system too much. So this is Just H2 Transit in brief. And now to the scenarios we've been creating in this project. So socio-technical scenarios which try to look at the H2 economy in the society. So here are our 5 scenarios: prosperity and flourish, divided gains and disparity, growing pains and stalled progress, public power and state leadership, crisis and collapse. And let's look at a little bit more or more detailed these scenarios. So this first scenario, this is the flourishing scenario. So technology and innovation are developed well in this scenario. We have clean H2 transit and we have strong support, some strong political support, for instance, from EU and national support also. Community-driven business models, everything is going smoothly and nice. All components, land, water, workforce, infra, they are available. We can develop H2 well. H2 system well. Then problems start to come. So constraints and limitations scenario, this divided gains and disparity. So we have some kind of public distrust and policy gaps which hinder the development. H2 adoption states pilot scale. Sounds pretty much the same, the situation we have now. So we have only pilots or just one working hydrogen plant, for instance, in Finland at the moment. Infra fails to develop. Conflicts over natural resources are escalating. Wealth and jobs cluster in few hubs, creating regional divide. So not going that well as in the first scenario. Then the third scenario. This is more or the most business as usual scenario. So continuation scenario. And here H2 production stays in industrial level. So we are not enlarging H2 into, for instance, to transport sector. But we still have this green H2, not fossil H2, as we now have in industrial sector. So role of renewables in H2 production is expanding, but slowly. And we also have nuclear energy in the palette. Green H2 used industrially, meeting existing demands, as I already told you. And then these local land use conflicts arise, as in the previous scenario also. Companies fulfill mandatory engagement obligations and infra investments are limited. And then the fourth scenario, this highlights the political dimension of this H2 economy development or green H2 system development. So we have very strong public support for clean energy. National policies are strong for H2 economy. Education programs and open borders to combat workforce shortage. So we have knowledge and capabilities to develop H2 economy. And then the last one, this is the crisis scenario. Crisis and collapse. Multiple crises, disruptions to energy infra, investments focus on crisis sectors, not developing new things. This sounds also a bit like we have today, so borders closed and things like that. But could be also that this kind of crisis situation could also rise something new also, because we have to do something to survive. So these are our 5 socio-technical scenarios, trying to give a pictures of the future, what it might be in the future? Sorry. Then to justice. So just to remind you that justice is not an easy concept. It is very complex. So it is, first of all, evolving, it is multidimensional, it is contextual, and we need continuous learning in tackling it. This is one way, very common way, to define justice. So we have this distributional, procedural, and recognitional and restorative justice. I don't go into details here, but to give you a picture that this is very complex concept. And we also consider SDGs, so United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which capture all these sustainability issues. And my question in this presentation was that how to use scenarios in evaluating just transition. And we believe that scenarios give view to the future. So these possible transition paths also to the future. And then these elements of justice gives us things to be considered so that we can reach this just and responsible way to transition and to new system. So just transition framework, and it is here what we have been developing. So we have there up row, we have these 5 scenarios, and then here in the left-hand side we have these elements of justice, which we then look at in each scenario, possible potential future worlds, and in that way try to capture things that we need to consider in this just transition process. And my first slide, elements of just transition, it is visualizing this whole complex issue. So first of all, we have here the actors which we need to consider. So whose justice, whose fairness? We have industry, energy actors, citizens, residents, immigrants, regions, and then we have landowners, indigenous people, employees, and then we have nature, biodiversity and animals. We also need to consider their fairness. And then the next layer is about systemic solutions. So we have logistics, pipelines, transport, all these infrastructure things, intergenerational equity, cost loss compensations, benefit sharing, cost sharing, raw material use, and different needs and interests. I forgot to tell this second layers here. So we have this local, regional, national, global business, H2 industrial use, H2 agricultural use, affordable energy, employment, and land use there in the next level from these stakeholders. And then the last layer, future. Innovations, new business, and intergenerational equity. And all this can end up to risk assessment, what is prioritized, what is the most important. And now, please, okay. Pasi continues.
Thanks. Yeah. I will continue now about the regional aspects of the just transition. Why regions? Of course, this means that the kind of regional effects, they vary between different regions. Some will gain and some will lose. And in here we have selected 4 different case areas to look into what kind of futures they might end up. And we have been starting this autumn interview rounds. We are doing a Delphi exercise, so it will be several rounds of interviews and survey and we have now conducted the first round in this autumn. Why did we select these 4 regions? For the Eastern Finland, I will be brief on this. Of course, Eastern Finland is a specific case. Russian border limits, for example, the potential of wind power. There are restrictions how you can build energy systems there. Also, transmission lines are not, they are limited, and it's also the area of quite sparsely populated. And of course, there is a chicken-egg problem. There are companies that want to invest, but the infrastructure is not yet there, and it's a kind of a game who kind of starts that. No sea harbors there. Then about the Western Finland, it's close to the harbors. There are already wind power plants, also a lot of activities around hydrogen on industrial and research level, and also gas grid is now have the plan of building the pipeline along the coast. Also this kind of a tradition on entrepreneurship and utilization of nature is high there. Then in southern Finland, it's most densely populated, still limited possibility to produce wind power, district heating, as there are a lot of urban areas, district heating plays a role. Planet pipelines to Baltic countries are planned, and there are also existing petrochemical industry, so the demand is also there. So I will just give you briefly the kind of results, first hints from the interviews on first from the just transition point of view, what does justice in hydrogen transition look like? And the interviewers pointed, for example, from the local benefits point of view, that the benefits of the building the hydrogen economy, that it should also remain in the region, so it will kind of increase the welfare, not only putting exports. Also the kind of a decision on location, how you do these investments, it should support the well-being of people and nature, local level, and also it was raised that this kind of a fairness and open dialogue also increases acceptance. About the inclusion and participation, mentioned already in the morning, speaking the language of the locals, you should be there discussing face to face what the future in hydrogen economy means. Also importance of the regional planning, because there are a lot of things to be built, how the transmission routes, pipeline alignments goes, what kind of assessments do you need there. And there are also examples, kind of not good examples of the kind of participatory way of doing this. And also, of course, the cultural factors are raised. Who gets to have a say on this? Okay, yes. Then it was raised also in the interviews that nature values, the hydrogen requires a lot of renewable energy if we are aiming on having green hydrogen. So there will be investments on solar power plants and wind power, and that requires land. And of course, then the land use impacts not only to the nature, to the biodiversity, but also to local residents and so forth, to different livelihoods, agriculture, forestry. It of course have an impact on those. That should be planned. Also, it was raised the ecological compensation as a mean and additional nature conservation on some other places than in the industrial sites. Also, waste heat utilization is a thing to solve, and it also, especially from the water use point of view, needs impact assessment. Also, the regional resilience was raised as we make this build new renewable energy. We will also gain in security of supply. We are more independent of the energy use, and also if we are investing in green H2, it reduces also, there's a potential to reduce the CO2 emissions. And last slide, this kind of a policy implication, it was raised that we have still tensions around us, and that is, of course, the question how long this kind of uncertainty is there. It was also raised that EU strategies, they shape the local implementation. They give the big goals, and then the locals kind of implement and also take the effects from those. Ambitious green transition policies was considered essential still to make hydrogen viable at the local level. And then looking on the national level point of view, it was also raised that it should be more like technology-driven, based on markets-oriented, not as policy-driven. Also, municipalities, it's quite important, and the increase in estate taxes has increased quite a lot through the RE investments, so it's an important factor for the municipalities. Regional point of view, land use plans should be have a holistic view on that, because not in every case you don't have to do the impact assessments depending on what size of investment you have. So there are local risks and benefits if we don't see the kind of entity of the energy system investments and what we are building. Education and workforce related issues was raised, and it's not just a regional issue, of course. It is also a national one to put what is the kind of future competencies that we will need, for example, from the hydrogen economy point of view. And also there is a need to make balanced regional policy, because it seems like we have now the investment plans going through the western and southern parts of Finland, and that should probably be somehow balanced. And also last, it was raised that the smoother environmental permitting processes, that would be a need, but of course that also means that if we have a kind of size of investments, it's not a straightforward thing that you can easily lighten the permitting processes. So yeah, this kind of first points from the interviews. Thanks.
Thank you, colleagues.